If you're a young athlete, how should you train? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. I often get messages and questions from my various social media from young athletes asking me how they should train. They'll often question the training that they're doing at the moment and ask for advice. Here, I'm going to go through some common answers to those questions that I give, and I hope that that's going to help you in the way that you train. Okay, first principle is that you need to train the athlete and the event. What do I mean by that? Well, as a coach, you need to identify the strengths and weaknesses of a particular athlete and train them so that they get the optimum performance for the event for them. Many young athletes can be more mature in terms of their growth and development than others, and therefore it can be the case for coaches to just train them in a more adult way and perhaps neglect technique because the young athlete is relying on their superior physicality to produce performance. That, however, can be a negative because eventually other talented jumpers, sprinters will catch up in terms of growth and maturation with the other athlete. Therefore, it's very, very important for the talented training mature athlete to learn specific technique. Now, conversely, for the, let's call it the smaller athlete, the one who's less physically mature at a given age, because eventually you will also grow and you will start to catch up the more physically mature athletes at a later stage. You need to develop your technical ability at an early age, regardless of your level of maturation. If you get that foundation put in at the ages of 13, 14 and above, and that's going to stay with you into your senior career, and you're going to optimally give yourself the chance to jump as far as you could. Another principle that I adhere to is that you need to do specific drills and conditioning exercises. Now, some coaches don't see those as being important for younger athletes. Rather, they give them more of a general physical athletic development program. Now, that's just doing that exactly. It's giving them a background, a basis, yes, but it's not specifically teaching them the movements and teaching them how to express power and force in the way that's required for jumping and sprinting. Now, I'm obviously generalizing a bit here, but it's important, again, going back to principle number one, that you train technically as optimally as you can, and that you should be doing drills that senior athletes are doing. Now, not necessarily, and of course, not all of them, but some of them. My athletes do the majority of the drills from 13, 14 onwards as to what they're going to be doing when they're 23, 24. It's just that they get more powerful and are able to exert more force doing them. There are, of course, drills that I wouldn't give to a younger athlete, but nevertheless, it is important to do drills. See them as specific conditioning exercises. They are great ways to optimize technical and physical ability. Many athletes will reach out to me and talk about training programs and what they should be doing at a young age in their development. Well, as I'm indicating in this video, it is a very specific methodology that's going to provide the greatest returns. If you adopt a generalist approach as you start to develop as an athlete, then you're not going to get the specific returns that you need to develop you as a great long jumper, triple jumper, sprinter. You need to sow the specific foundations at a relatively early age, and therefore the training plan needs to take you in that direction. There are certain fundamental skills that you need to have as a young athlete. Now, as a long jumper, you need to be able to take off. You need to be able to accelerate effectively, and you need to have good maximum velocity mechanics. Those need to be taught at an early age. Now, I teach young athletes on courses for various governing bodies, and often we will find long jumpers, for example, who haven't actually been taught how to run properly. It's neglected in their training. The coach may be thinking about jumping and not about the actual approach run and the way that the athlete runs. So for me, I've then got to go back and teach that athlete, give them pointers at least as to how to run much more effectively. So it's very important that those fundamentals are put in place at an early stage. Then it makes life a lot easier in the future. Another perennial question for young athletes is weight training. Now, I don't necessarily believe in the efficacy of weight training for young athletes. I think that bodyweight exercises, the specific drills in particular, and plyometrics will give you a much greater return than going into the weights room at say 15 or 16 years of age. You've got to bear in mind that to get a performance benefit from weights, you've got to lift a heavy weight and as fast but as safely as you can, so that you're recruiting maximum numbers of fast twitch muscle fibre and the motor units that recruit them. Now, you're not going to load a 14-15-year-old boy or girl with 150 to 200 kilograms, for example, in order to achieve that effect. So I see weight training as something that should be brought in around the age of 18, 19, 20 and then be used in a way that's going to specifically improve performance. Now, having just said that and trying not to contradict myself, there is a role for weight training, or should I say resistance training, for the young athlete, in that it's a great way to shore up the muscles and in particular the ligaments and tendons against soft tissue injury. So I'm using loaded lunges, for example, single leg squats, hamstring bridges, etc., as ways to strengthen soft tissue. And that can be done with light loadings and dumbbells, for example, and body weight, and using different muscular actions as well. Although I could add more points, I'm going to finish with another one, which is to do with managing expectation. As a young athlete, you've got to think of your long-term career, not immediate short-term goals. I know that can be difficult. My athletes, for example, want to get to national championships, they want to get to the English schools, and they want to medal at those events. However, that's all going to be forgotten ultimately should you go on to be a very successful senior athlete when it really matters. So stick to the process, think long term, learn your craft, learn your technique, be prepared to progress more slowly. I've had a number of athletes who've not been so good in their mid to late teens who have then become superior athletes in their mid-20s, for example. It's how you apply yourself when you're an adult, when your body is able to optimize its force production. Well, I hope the information I provided in this video will give you some ideas, principles and guidelines for training as a young athlete, whether you be an athlete or a coach. As usual, thanks for watching, and do subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification icon so that you'll be notified as to when I upload new content. And do please give this video a like. Please do consider becoming a channel member. I post exclusive video content for coach athlete members on a monthly basis. For example, the latest video deals with how to return from slight injuries such as grade 1 hamstring strains. I take you through the protocols, procedures and drills which I use to get athletes back to fitness as soon as possible, but as safely as possible. So do head over to the channel's homepage, click on the join button and go to the coach athlete tab to sign up to become a coach athlete member. There are also other memberships available, such as channel supporter, where you do just that. For just £1.99 a month, you help me to produce the content that's hopefully helping you become a better athlete and a coach. And of course, good luck with your training and any competitions that you've got coming up. If you're interested in the extremely portable and accurate free-lap timing system, then do drop me a message. The system is accurate to 2/1000 of a second and can time end times and split times.